Hello and welcome to the Justice Factor. What's going on at the National Prosecuting Authority? First we had Bulelani Ngcuka, followed by Vusi Pikoli, then Mokotedi Mpshe, and then Menzi Similani. All have left under controversial circumstances. Now the incumbent, Mxolisi Nxasana, was allegedly asked to leave by former Justice Minister Jeff Radebe because he did not receive a top secret security clearance. Does this mean that the NPA is compromised? What do all these shenanigans mean for the rule of law? My guests today to discuss this are Lawson Naidoo, Executive Director of the Council for the Advancement of the South African Constitution, and ENCA Senior Reporter Karin Moore. But first, look at the cartoon on your screen now. This cartoon was produced by cartoonists Dr. Curtis and Jack and published and removed from the Eyewitness News website last week because the ANC and many of its members complained bitterly, saying it is racist to call voters poopballs. I'm joined today by ANC member Maihlome Tshwete, who complained and helped organize a march on the EWN offices, and Penyo Butale from the Freedom of Expression Institute to discuss the merits or not of the cartoon. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Maihlome, what's racist about this cartoon?
Well, first, can I just start by saying I'm not here as an ANC member, I'm here as an ANC voter who felt offended by the cartoon, which depicted not only public representatives in a negative light, but also voters for practicing their democratic rights.
But surely there's nothing wrong with depicting public representatives in a negative light. That's part of the freedom that we all enjoy.
That's something that we expect, and that's something that they are used to. The issue that I have is when you go beyond that line and you call all voters that voted for the ANC pooples and a bunch of clowns. The reality is that our history has dynamics to it. And we can't move away from the fact that the makeup of the ANC is mostly black voters. Mm-hmm. To say that people have not exercised themselves and have not applied their minds in voting for the ANC and calling them clowns for practicing their democratic right, for me sounds a bit racist.
So it sounds to me like it's offensive. It's very poor analysis. It just forgets about the history of apartheid, and so it's not racist. It's offensive. That's what you're saying.
The presumption that black voters do not apply themselves when they go into a voting booth to vote for a party is racist undertones. Because the opposite end of the argument is that how do we not become clowns? How do we not become these purples? Do we have to vote for the DA? Is that what the argument?
I don't know if they're saying the DA equates the DA to apartheid. But
I'm saying to you, if they're saying that if you are a clown for voting for the ANC, what's the alternative? Do you have to vote for the
EFF?
DA? You have to be voting for the DA.
EFF?
They've already made a mockery out of the EFF before. The reality of it is that what we are trying to do here is put what appears to be a clear racism versus the freedom of expression. And these arguments or these debates are not happening only in South Africa. They even happen in more advanced democracies like in Europe too. Mm-hmm. But how they couch their debate is about combating racism and intolerance while respecting freedom of expression. That's how it should be couched. We should never couch it in a way that says that it's either racism versus the freedom of expression. We are all for the freedom of expression, but I think there's a line that must be drawn when we deliberately ignore the dynamics of our past and we ignore racial undertones and we say, no, it's just satire. There's no satire to it. Satire makes fun of those in power and pulls follies at those in power. It doesn't make fun of the vulnerable. Here, when you're making fun of 11 million South Africans that voted for the ANC and calling them a bunch of idiots, calling them a bunch of clowns, for me, it has the racist undertones.
Penyo Butale, do you agree that it's racist? Is it offensive? Should it have been run at all? Should it not be? Should it have been taken down?
I think we need to appreciate what is the role of satire in any democracy. The fact that it's offensive, the fact that it's uncomfortable, the fact that it's controversial, that's the nature of satire. It makes us talk about those uncomfortable subjects.
But to call 11 million South Africans idiots or pooples, as he called,
but the usage
that could have racist undertones.
The usage of the word pupils, as you mentioned now, might, as you say, we've made it clear that is undesirable. It's not proper to have used that word. But I think the problem with that we find here is the selective analysis that often takes away the attention from the underlying issue that the satirist is trying to make us talk about, which then the focus then goes to the discontent.
So
to
tell
the
me about that selective
part.
analysis.
What's
what
the
is
underlying
this?
issue?
You know, when you look at the history of satire in South Africa and the reaction of the ANC for one, you've had many satirists being called to book. You've had the issue in the FNB issue, you know, the T-shirt issue in the UK, in the KZN. You had the recent reaction by the Hindu community to the depiction of the of their god. But the issue here is the satirists were depicting sensitive areas that are sensitive to a certain group in our community. Then the attention was the fact that a certain group was uncomfortable with the satirist, not the message.
Michael, what I understand Penya to be saying is saying you're focusing on one issue, you're forgetting about all the other things that your party or the party you voted for has put into the basket of the Constitution. You're focusing on the racism. You're not saying, you know what, it's offensive, it's all this, well, but I'm going to protect his right to...
Justice, I'm glad you called it a basket, because there's different elements to it. One of the elements that are there is the right of dignity. As a South African, I have the right to my dignity. To make such an offensive statement that I did not apply my mind in who I voted for when I read the policies and I knew exactly what I voted for, while other parties were anti-affirmative action, while other parties were anti-social security grants, while other parties were doing a number of things that I disagreed with. And when I applied myself and voted for a particular party, for a member of what's supposed to be a platform that disseminates information, to call me a clown for doing that has racist undertones for me. So, and then he says, then he argues that satire is supposed to be offensive. Well, so is racism. Racism is also offensive. We should be careful of not saying that everything that can be racism, if you put it under the cloud of satire, then it's perfectly fine. We are functioning...
Let me get Penya's reaction to that.
I find it difficult. I mean, this is a drawing of a cartoon, and the part where the voters are has a shade of black.
Yeah.
And this is the interpretation
of
my friend, is that the shade of black would mean black voters. I find that very problematic.
It does say we, the peoples.
But you see, the problem is this, that this is a shade of black that could mean anything. And his interpretation is that it means black people. But
he's saying 11 million people voted for the ANC, and they're largely
that's
black.
The problem, because you are saying that only black voters black people vote for the ANC.
The majority of them.
They are majority, but this is a multi-racial democracy, and even the government that is depicted is a multi-racial democracy. And therefore, the issue about race, I find it very difficult.
You're saying the government that's depicted in the cartoon is multiracial. The only people that are depicted in the cartoon are black politicians. Where's the multiracial in the black?
Well, I don't know if it's multiracial. The ANC is non-racial.
I'm saying we're speaking specifically about the cartoon, Justice. We're speaking specifically about the cartoon. He's saying that the people that are depicted, the people that are being made of in this
the government is
my commentator, to be fair, you take a minister like Rob Davis in trade and industry. He's depicted in many cartoons as being, this guy is tying me up in red tape and so forth. But guys,
it doesn't matter whether one race dominates or not. This is a non-racial government.
Okay, you've got 20 seconds each to make your final comments.
I think the Freedom of Expression Institute hit mostly a right note when they released their statement. I'm not too sure what he's speaking about now. It differs to what the statement said. Their statement said that they also found the cartoon to be careless and irresponsible. And I think it goes beyond that. I think it has racial undertones. And in a country like South Africa, we have dynamics to our past. I think people should be very sensitive to those and be careful in how they depict themselves.
You get 10 seconds.
I think the ANC and any South African need to know that freedom of expression, for which satirical expression is part of, is foundational to any democracy, and we need to respect it and defend it. And by doing that, we need to be tolerant of one another's opinions and views.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. I wish we could go on to other some of the other issues that are raised by the debate. But thank you very much, both of you, for coming in. After the break, we asked Lawson Naidu and Karen Mon why the job of National Prosecution's chief is such a poison chalice.
News that moves. ENCA.com.